everyone, welcome back to White Sparrow Living, Luke 12:6. I'm Wendy, and today we're doing some Dollar Tree DIYs for your fall home decor. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using these items that you see here, and I'm taking some jute twine. I'm going to wrap that around the base of my Tealight candle holder, just using a little bit of hot glue and then wrapping it around about 3 or 4 times. And then I'm going to tie a knot right in the front, add a little bit more glue, and then I'm going to take one of these laser cut wood pieces and tie one of each of those designs onto my candle holder at the bottom. Just tie a knot, get it in place, and I put it off a little bit to the side because then I'm going to make a little jute twine bow by wrapping it around my fingers a few times and then taking another piece and tying it in the middle, fluffing out those little loops so that they're kind of spread out. Glue that down and then just cut off that excess jute twine and then place my votive holder right on top. Now you can glue this down if you're worried about them coming off, but I like the idea of being able to take them off and change them out if I feel like it. You can also use these Tealight candle holders if you decorate for Halloween by painting them black and then adding a sweet little gingham bow, and then adding these adorable jack-o'-lanterns that I found at Dollar Tree. These I made a while back, and the wood boxes, I added those to the bottom to give them more height. And then to make sure that my jack-o'-lanterns would stay in place, I just shoved in a Jenga block into the top of the candle holder and then added some hot glue and put the jack-o'-lantern on top of that. And then it stays snug as a bug in a rug. And then you could add some little battery operated tea lights. You can see here I have absolutely nothing to display with my Halloween theme because I don't have anything, but I think these are super cute and I know the kids will like them because you can put some candy corn in there too. Super cute and super easy, but if you want to be a little fancier, you can use these votive holders, add your candles, and the little trim makes it so perfect for fall. I love how these turned out and I hope you guys like them too. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm using 2 of these circular pan hanging thingies, whatever they're called. What are they called? Wall vases? Yeah, 10 wall vases. And then I forgot what was in that other frame, but I'll tell you the hardest part of this project was getting the stickers off of the front of these. So I used my heat gun and my Cricut spatula. That was coming along, but it was not really working very well. You can try your Goo Gone or whatever method you use, but I found it was the easiest to use one of these razor blade widget thingies from the Dollar Tree. I already had planned to paint the front of these because this was really scratching it up. I don't know how anyone else has gotten this off. Maybe these were just older, so it had stuck on there too much, but then I just scraped it with my sanding block to get off the sticky stuff, and then I started painting them with my white chalk paint. I gave that one coat, and I'm also going to paint on the inside. I want these to look like pumpkins, and originally I had planned on doing 2 different shades of orange because I am decorating in the traditional oranges and greens and browns, but I didn't have any pumpkin chalk paint. So I went ahead and did my greens and blues. I used Pool for the blue color and Celery for the green. And I'm just going to paint it as close to a pumpkin as I could get it. So I'm just doing those lines going up and down and kind of like eyeball shaped and then just going out further. Then I'm just going to blend that all in, add some black with a smaller brush to give it some, I guess, shadows. It's just supposed to give the idea of a pumpkin. So anyway, once I got that done, I'm going to add a little bit more white. I thought these colors were a little too bright, so I wanted them a little bit darker. It didn't get totally the way I wanted it, but I think it's still really pretty and it was super easy. So then to make the pumpkin stem, I'm going to take some scrap stems from an old flower pick that I had, and I took a paper bag and just wrapped it around the top of that and just squeezed it and twisted it. This isn't really going to show, but I just wanted to make sure that if any of my rope had some gaps, you would just see the brown paper bag and it kind of gives it the same idea and color. So I'm just gonna take some hot glue, untwist my rope, and then just glue that down at the bottom, leaving some hanging over. And then I'm gonna cut it off at the top and then go all the way around my stem. Now, because this stem is wired, I'll be able to manipulate it and move it and bend it however I want. So then once I get to the top with my third piece of rope, I'm going to wrap that around and just make it kind of messy and out of control. And then I'll hot glue that at the top and shape it to how I want. And then I'm going to make little slits at the bottom so that I can place it flatly on the top of my pumpkin tin. So then I took a burlap leaf, and it's already got a piece of wire attached to it, so I'm just going to wrap that around the base of my stem. And I didn't even have to glue this, but you can if you want, because it just molded perfectly to the side, and I was able to take some of that rope and pull it over so that it looked like some messy tendrils or something. So now I'm going to take my gold paint pen, and I actually got this at Dollar Tree. I was really excited to see them and see how they worked, and it worked really, really well. I'm just going to write "Give Thanks" on both of the bottom parts of my tins in kind of a messy up and down cursive writing. And then I took some Dollar Tree flowers and tucked those into the sides. I didn't fill it too much because I still wanted to be able to see the inside part of my pumpkin so that you could still tell it was a pumpkin, if you could even tell at all. So anyway, I'm going to shove those over to one side and then hang them kind of up and down or diagonally. But I think they're adorable, and I think they turned out so sweet. I love them, and I hope you like them too. For this project, I'm using a bamboo wreath and some of those same wildflowers. I think they're called mini sunflowers. I'm just going to take a big handful of the different flowers that I want, take all the tags off, added some greenery, and I thought I would like it with a little bit more at the bottom than at the top, and then just play with it. This is the easiest wreath you can ever do. And then once I get them into the shape and arrangement that I want, I'm just going to grab them in the middle, use a nylon zip tie, and then I took my wire cutters and got rid of the excess stems so that those aren't showing. And then I found these really pretty little, I don't know, rattan looking pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. They have different colors that I've seen, but I just thought these were so adorable, and so I'm going to add those to the middle. But I'm going to make a big perky bow using the fold over method. I used some burlap ribbon, some of the chevron ribbon, some smaller 5/8 ribbon, and even some faux leather ribbon in the 5/8 inch that I thought matched the pumpkins perfectly. I'm starting to lose my voice even more. Anyway, I made two little bundles, one with the smaller ones, and I clipped those together so that I didn't have to hold those. And then I put the larger ones on top, made little slits in the middle so that when I go to foof it around, I'll be able to move them easier. And then I'm going to use a chenille stem to put those together, and then I'll add the top one to the bottom one and place those right in the middle, wrapping it all the way around, holding my little bundles of flowers on there and attaching the bow to my wreath. And here it is, all finished, and I just love how this turned out. I love the neutral colors. I love a neutral wreath, and it just looks like it's ready for the fall season, and it's so cozy looking. I love how this turned out, and I hope you guys like it too. For this Dollar Tree DIY, I'm going to be making a mantle garland using these items, and I found these pretty leaf cutouts. They have initials on them, so they're really pretty, but they weren't my colors, and I'm gonna use my little widget again to get all the stickers and the paper that's on it. I only needed to take one side off with the paper because I'm gonna have the other side turned around. You could paint these also and just cover that up, but anyway, I'm on a time crunch here, so I just did one side, and then I'm going to sand it down and get all the ickies off. And I want both of the stems facing each other because one's going to go at one side of my garland and the other one's going to go on the other side. So I didn't want them facing in the same direction. I wanted them facing each other. So now I'm going to take a chippy brush from the Dollar Tree, use my white chalk paint, and I'm just going to do a dry brush effect. I tried to do it where it was in the middle going out, so it looked kind of like a leaf, you know how the veining goes, and you can add as much or as little as you want. I love how it actually outlines the leaf automatically by brushing over it. So I'm going to set those aside and let that dry, and while I have my white chalk paint out, I found these little acorns at the Dollar Tree, and I was going to leave them the color that they are, but I decided there was getting to be a little bit too dark, so I wanted to lighten them up. And there's a lip at the top of the acorn that you can just kind of rest the tip of your brush around so that you get that nice finished edge. And so I'm going to paint all of my acorns white. And then I have this set of 3 really big needles from Walmart, and I'm going to use the larger one. And I took my pumpkins that are wrapped in burlap in a beigey color, orange, and a really pretty sage green. I'm going to take the clips out of all of them, and then what I did is I took some jute twine and I measured on my fireplace to see how long I wanted each of my garlands to go, and I want them to drape. So I made them the size that they needed to be before I started adding my pieces, if that makes sense. So I'm showing you here that there's 3 different lengths, and then that way when I pull them all together, they'll drape in 3 different lengths. You'll see at the end, I guess. So now I'm going to thread my twine onto my big fat needle, and then I'm just going to stick it right into the top portion of my burlap pumpkins, and then I'll just pull it out on the other side. Now, I don't know about you, but just talking about it right now, I got the chills, because when I push in the needle and then it starts pulling the twine through, there's a sound that it makes. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I don't know. It gives me the heebie-jeebies when I'm pulling it through that styrofoam. Oh, anyway, so I'm going to thread all of my pumpkins in the order that I want, and I can adjust these once I get them all hung up, but these are so cute all in a row. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my acorns. Again, gosh, just watching this, I'm getting goosebumps. And I'm just going to go through the top portion. Now the top of the acorns, those are hard, so you won't be able to go through those, but just if you go right below it, you'll get through to that styrofoam, and then you can thread those onto your jute twine. Then I took some 5/8 inch ribbon, and I'm going to cut those down into 5-inch strips. And then I took a piece of jute twine, and I'm going to tie that in the middle and made some little poofies, I don't know, just to add some ribbon and color to the bottom strand of my garland. And then I took some of the leaves from the Dollar Tree stems, and I'm gonna double some of them up, and I did just single leaves on some of them. I'm gonna thread that onto my twine as well, just going in all kinds of different directions. And then I'm going to later cut off my stems, so you won't see those after a while. And I just threaded those on, alternating with the ribbons and the leaves until they were all nice and full, and this is going to be my bottom layer. So once I've fed all of my twine through the pretties, I'm going to take the ends of each of my pieces of twine and I'm going to line them up and then make a knot at the end of both sides. And then I'm going to staple that down to the back side of my leaf using my staple gun. And then I'm going to take a hook from the Dollar Tree wall hanging set, and I'm going to open up the long portion and make that flat. And then I'll take the top portion and bend that to a 90-degree angle. And I'm just using my needle nose pliers, and it's really soft metal, so you can do this pretty easily. But now what I'm going to do is attach my L-shaped hook now with a tack. And so I used a piece of painter's tape to hold it down because I need about 4 hands to do this. And then I'll take a tack, and using my needle nose pliers, I'm going to hold that in place in the hole that's already in this little hook, and then tap it into the wood. And then I'll remove my tape, and now I have a little piece hanging over. And I'll show you how we hang this in just a second. So now I'm taking my black paint pen, and on one leaf I'm going to put give thanks, and then on the end leaf I'm going to put to the Lord. Of course, you can use stickers or your vinyl cutting machine, whatever you have, or even stencils. I know Dollar Tree is getting really good on their stencil game, but I'm just using my faux calligraphy and a little bit of that Ray Dunn style lettering at the top. And you don't even have to put words on here if you don't want to. I think the leaves are pretty enough without anything at all. But I want to give praise to Jesus and thanks, so I'm going to add him in here. So now it's time to hang it, and if you see, I have a wood mantle, and I'm just going to place it over the top, and because I don't even know why, but it just stays there. It's the perfect balance, and I had actually planned to use another tack to go into that top hole, but when I placed it up there, it just stayed. I think it's a weight thing, something about physics, I don't know. And then I'm going to adjust my leaves and all of my pretties so that they're nicely spaced and I get them exactly how I want them. And here it is, all finished, and I absolutely love how this turned out. I love these colors. I'm really glad I painted my acorns because it really would have been a lot darker than I meant for it to be. And there's so much white and brightness up here, so I just love it. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. I hope everyone has a blessed day, and remember to always be the light. Bye!